WCAB AM 590 FM 100.9. Why? Because, as we all know, taxation with representation has not been such a good idea either, and we're getting ready to find out just what a bad idea it's been, because taxes are going up, folks. I'm going to get a little bit into that. I'm going to talk this morning about a couple of things. I'm going to talk about the latest. I just got this email yesterday afternoon, so the latest right here from the IRS on where your stimulus money is, or where it's supposed to be. I'm going to talk about round 2 of tax-free PPP money. That's payroll protection plan money. There's a round 2. So if you got money the first time, a couple of weeks ago they said you weren't going to be able to partake of this new round of money. Oh, they changed their minds again. You will be able to partake of tax-free PPP money. There are a few hooks in this, so you're going to want to listen. Remember, the only free cheese is in a trap, which is okay as long as you know what trap you're stepping into. There's some things about it, but you're going to want to listen. Then I'm going to talk about, I'm going to get into tax considerations. What happens when a family member or just a loved one, sometimes you're not direct family, but you're the responsible party, passes away. It's been a topic that's been before me for the last 5 or 6 months. We've had quite a few elderly clients in all kinds of different economic situations pass away. There's a lot of considerations. Now, I am a tax preparer. I'm an enrolled agent. Taxation is what I do. I'm not an attorney, and I'm not giving legal advice, okay? I'm going to talk about the tax implications and what you as an executor or you as a person responsible for the estate or the assets of this loved one has to do. But I'm going to pepper my conversation heavily with, please consult with an attorney, because I can handle the tax side of it, but there's also a lot of legal issues that are involved, and I've seen people try to handle these things by themselves, thinking they're going to save a few dollars, and they end up making a bigger mess than they thought possible. So I want to welcome everybody. If you need to call me at my office, make an appointment to see me. We do tax returns, we do financial strategies, we can help you with all kinds of financial issues, questions you may have, IRS issues. You can call me at 828-289-9300. That's 828-289-9300. If you need to email me, my email address is gilbert@gilbertcarmona.com, or you can also do me gilbert@gilberttalkstaxes.com. Those of you live streaming this morning, I did not welcome them last week, and I want to thank you all for tuning in. It's www.wcab59.com. This is a live program on this beautiful January 23rd day. My engineer this morning, Todd. Good morning, Todd. Good morning. So I'm going to get into the $600 here in a minute, Todd, with the millions of people that are looking for that money, that are waiting for it. But let me go ahead and talk about this. It's hard to imagine what is happening. It really is. We finally have a new president in the White House. After months of what's going to happen, we now know what's going to happen, or we now know what happened. We're seeing all the people that this president's appointed for cabinet positions. They're pretty much just as everybody predicted. A lot of the names are names you've seen from before, from the Obama administration. A lot of people are just being recycled and put back in those same positions or some kind of position. There's a lot of new people too. So we're going to see a lot of the same policies. And then that's not a prediction. We're being told we're going to see these policies. And for sure, we're going to see increased taxes. Okay? We've been promised that. So the question is, what now? What do we do now? I want to share something out of the Bible to begin with, and actually somebody else shared this with us, and I thought it was so good I went back and read this again, because a lot of us, so it's no secret that I was a Trump supporter. I supported his policies. I continue to support him. Was he a flawed man? Of course. You know, there is no perfect human being. Okay, as a matter of fact, there was one, and he was crucified, and that's what I'm getting ready to read. Support Trump, support his policies. He's going out now. I haven't validated this, Todd. If you could, Todd's my little research machine here while I'm talking. He's always researching. What was President Trump's approval rating? I was told it was 49%. That's what I was told. His official approval rating was a 49, which I believe it, because they were shocked. The media was shocked. They were expecting it to be like way down, and on the contrary, it was actually very good. So it depends what poll you go to, I know. But he went out with a reasonably favorable approval rating. It was not, I still support his policies, I still support the things, but whether there was fraud or not, we don't know. We'll probably never know. We may know. But we don't know. We really don't know. And that's part of the problem. Because if we all had a consensus where everybody could look, experts on both sides could look and say, here's the evidence, but to be told this is the evidence and you can't look at it, we don't know. And that's worse, I think, than knowing. because it's all just, conspiracy theory is all we have left if you don't have truth. The only thing that's going to work is total, complete, transparent truth. We don't have truth, and that's part of the problem. So we all thought it was going to end up one way. So somebody shared the scripture with us. It's Luke 24, 19 through 26. But please, I encourage you, read all of Luke 24. Okay, I could do a whole 1 hour program on it. But let me just read 19. There was a man, he's walking along. Actually, let me go to 18. So these two people were walking, and Jesus himself caught up with them, and he's accompanying them. And in 18, then one of them answered him, "Do you alone dwell as a stranger in Jerusalem and not know the things that have occurred there in these days?" 19, and he said to them, and Jesus said to them, "What kind of things?" And they said to him, "About Jesus of Nazareth, who was a prophet, mighty in work and word before God and all the people, and how our chief priests and rulers gave him up to be sentenced to death and crucified him. But we were hoping that it was he who would redeem and set Israel free. Yes, and besides all this, it is now 3 days since these things occurred. And moreover, some women of our company astounded us and drove us out of our sense. They were at the tomb early in the morning, and they did not find his body. And they returned saying that they had seen a vision of angels who said to them, 'He is alive.' So some of these who were with us went to the tomb, and they found it just as the women had said, but him they did not see." And 25, Jesus said to them, "Foolish ones, dull of perception, slow of heart to believe everything that the prophets have spoken." And then in 26, "Was it not necessary and essentially fitting that Christ should suffer all these things before entering into glory?" And then 27 through the end, Jesus reveals scriptures to them and speaks to them. But the point there, the thing that I saw that was so real to me when I saw it, was we thought it was going to be one way, but God had another plan. And God has another plan, and God has a plan that's working every day. He has a plan that is working every day. It's not going to stop. And the scripture that God gave me when, this is now 5 years ago, when it looked like Trump was going to be the president, or was going to be the Republican nominee for the president, and it was him and 16 other people, and I was like, well, who can we back? I mean, surely it's not Trump. And the God gave me the scripture in Jeremiah 27:5, "I have made the earth, the men, the beasts upon the face of the earth, by my great power and my outstretched arm, and I give it to whomever it seems right and suitable to me." Well, that's still true today. And God has seemed right and suitable to do what he just did. Okay? I mean, God knew all this. This didn't surprise him. He didn't stop and say, "What do we do now?" We're the ones doing that. And now, this is Jeremiah 27:6, "And now I have given all these things into the hand of Nebuchadnezzar. I have given him all the beasts and everything, And then in 7, he says, all the nations shall serve him until God's appointed time of punishment of his own. Even Nebuchadnezzar had to answer to God. So I don't know. Again, I'm just like so many of you. What do we do next? But I can tell you what we are going to do. We're going to keep praying. This has caused many, many people to cry out to God. Many people to cry out to God. In a way, you remember 9/11, I had friends in New York, and they told me it was like, these weren't church-going people, but they said it was almost like something happened to the whole city. People were all of a sudden nice to each other. She never forgets, she was in Midtown Manhattan. This is just a few weeks after 9/11, and she's going to work, and she bumps into somebody, which you do in those subways. If you've ever been there, you know what I'm talking about. And the person turned and said to them, "I'm sorry." And somebody else said to her, "Excuse me," as they were walking by. She said, she's like, "Where am I?" This isn't New York. Unfortunately, it didn't last for very long. But it did happen. But it's happening again. I heard a man commenting, and we see what social media did to our president. But the man made a comment. He said, all they've done is made a martyr out of Trump. It's scared even the Europeans, who are as socialist as it can get, and as pro Twitter and Facebook and all that is. I mean, they're when these corporations are on your side. But even Angela Merkel, who's no trumpeter, this scared every socialist bone in her body, that Twitter could silence the leader of America. I mean, it even scared her. So this has a purpose, and let me finish this section with this. Is that while we knew that we can't trust the government to do the right thing in so many cases, we see fraud, and we just see fraud and corruption in a new light. But justice will come. Maybe not the way we want it to come, like I just read in Luke 24. Maybe not the way we thought it would be. They thought Jesus was going to come and redeem Israel and was going to stand up and defeat the Romans, and that's how they thought it was going to happen. But that's not how it happened. It happened. God's plan was a whole other plan. Okay, we're going to keep praying. We're going to keep serving the people. And in Esther 5:14, I want to encourage everybody with this. And this scripture is foundational to a lot of the Jews, because it's God's promise to them. It really is. That's Esther 5:14. You know the story. The Jews are going to be killed. The king has said it. Now what do we do? So Mordecai said to Esther, "For if you keep silent at this time, relief and deliverance will arise for the Jew from elsewhere." Some translations say, help will come for the Jew from somewhere else. God will provide relief and deliverance, but you and your father's house will perish. And who knows but that you have come to the kingdom for such a time as this, and for this very occasion. So all of you out there that are listening, all of you out there that were shocked by what happened, you were brought here for such a time as this and for this very occasion. We're going to keep praying. We're going to keep serving the people, because I know that relief and deliverance is going to come from somewhere. Not just for this nation, but for the world. And the nations are shaking. Let's take a break there, Todd. This is Gilbert Talks Taxes, WCAB AM 590, FM 100.9. I want to tell you about a little-known Rutherford County gem, Integrity Marble and Granite, located at 287 Shiloh Road in Forest City. They are the premier stone fabrication company in the western North Carolina region. They specialize in granite, marble, and natural stone, offering complete design and installation. Their design center and Kohler showroom features vanities, decorative accessories, bathroom, and kitchen fixtures. You do not have to go to Charlotte or Asheville for this kind of quality. We have it right here in Forest City. Stop in their showroom and browse their beautiful displays, or you can call 828-247-8801 for a free quote. You can also go to their website, www.integritymarblegranite.com, and look at the pictures and see samples of their available materials. Now, mention you heard it on Gilbert Talks Taxes, and they will give you $100 off any sink purchase. That's Integrity Marble and Granite.
Put Jesse James Railroad Express on your daily lunch list. He now has daily specials. Monday, get a hot dog with mustard, chili, and onions for 99 cents. Add slaw for 45 cents. Tuesday, the Carolina Express on a regular bun, any side, 16-ounce drink, $6.99 plus tax. Thursday, chicken salad croissant, any side with regular drink, $6.99 plus tax. Friday, 2 hot dogs any way, bag of chips, 16-ounce drinks, $4.99 plus tax. A delicious lunch every day of the week. Only at Jesse James Railroad Express, open every day 11 a.m. until 4. Closed Wednesday and Sunday. Call 828-447-4644 for takeout orders. Jesse James is located 531 Railroad Avenue in Rutherford. All aboard.
Are back. This is Gilbert Talks Taxes. WCAB AM 590 FM 100.9. Those of you live streaming, you are seeing me wearing my vintage camel hair jacket with my tie, my gold tie. This, by the way, is a vintage Sean John. Is there such a thing as a vintage Sean John? There could be. There could be. Thank you for watching. www.wcab59.com. This is a live program. If you have some questions about taxes, please feel free to call the studio, which that telephone number is 828-TODD-287-3357. Call Todd, what? 6 or 7, 335756. Which one do you prefer to call? 56? Yeah, that's the hotline. The hotline, yeah, 3356. And Todd will be more than happy to take your call. Also, my staff out there is ever diligent and awake at this hour. They are ready to answer the phone. Canyon and Karen, they're standing by the phone actually waiting. So feel free to call any questions you might have. If I can't answer it live on the air, I will. If not, I will talk about it the next week. Or if you leave your email address, I can respond to you directly. Or you can send me an email, Gilbert Talks Taxes. My office number, 828-289-9300. So I prepare tax returns. I can help you with tax issues. I'm an enrolled agent. I have authority to talk to the IRS so you don't have to. I'm part of the practitioner priority. We have a telephone line that we can call. Somebody yesterday came to my office. They were shocked that I was able to get somebody on the phone in 4 minutes. They said, "How do you do that?" I said, "Oh, privileges come with the title. You get that," because they waited. They were on hold for 2 hours and then got disconnected. I said, "Yeah, their computer will do that to you." The call didn't drop. Their computer's set to disconnect you after 2 hours. So I've had people that have just had that little background music going on. People have told me they've called 3 and 4 times and been on hold most of the day, but they got through to somebody. And then when you get through to somebody, they can't always help you is the problem. You have a lot of people working from home. Very few of them are back in the campuses. They're working from home. They have limited access. If they live in areas that have, spotty Wi-Fi or spotty internet, it's bad. I mean, I've had several of them that I've just had to call back because I can't understand them. I can't hear them. The connection's so bad. So if you have any issues, please come and see me. Plus, if you've got issues, it's gotten so complicated now, you really do need to get a professional to help you. And that is the thing about dealing with a small practitioner firm like mine. You get one-on-one help. We, take it all the way through to completion, resolve your tax matter. Okay, so Todd looked up the president's approval rating because we want to establish truth here. So right before the January 6th situation there at the Capitol, which we were there, and it was nothing like it's portrayed on the media, nothing at all. Surprise. And we were there. I've got all kinds of pictures and all kinds of videos. We were there along with there were at least 1 million people. There were people there that were there at the inauguration, and they said there were twice as many people as were at the inauguration, and they were there. So they were there at both events. So, I prefer to believe eyewitnesses than not. So before that, his approval rating was 48%. But then they say that after January 6th, his approval rating went down to 38%, which I really doubt that. Because I don't think none of his base, none of the 80 million people that voted for him were moved by what happened January 6th. Nobody that I know was moved. The only people that were marginally concerned were not Trump supporters. So, and they were only marginally concerned. They were like, did this really happen? Because they knew I'd gone, and they were asking me, was it really like that? And I showed them the videos of us singing and the videos of us walking. I mean, we had children. We had 2 people in wheelchairs with us. I went with a group of 137 people, and it was not like that at all. So approval rating, so they averaged it out to 41% is what they're saying. I'd like to know, well, number one, I'd like to see how many people they polled, because Gallup polls like 300 people, 400 people. The other ones poll like 800 and supposedly come up with these numbers. And I don't believe those numbers anyway. So we know his approval rating was high. Going out, before that it was 48%, which surprised everybody. Okay, let's talk about PPP, second round PPP. Second round PPP money. Okay, so did you receive money from a lender under the existing PPP program? That's the first question I have for you. So first PPP that came out, that is Payroll Protection Program money. Okay, it happened last summer. And, in the beginning, a lot of people didn't do it because the rules kept changing. And the rules are keep changing on it. So the people didn't do it because it was a loan. And it was through SBA. It was very hard to apply. A lot of the banks weren't doing it. Home Trust Bank right here in the county wasn't doing it. They said no. PNC, you had to be a business bank account holder. Wells Fargo, you had to be a business bank account holder. And then Wells Fargo opened up the portal for like an hour and then closed it. And that was it. If you didn't get in within that hour, you didn't get in for it. So there was a lot of things people didn't understand. Then they finally got it worked out, and people got money. Now, let's clarify what's happening. When you think of the PP program, do you think of tax-free money or do you think of a loan? And that was the problem. People thought of it as a loan and not tax-free money. And even then they were saying, you're going to have to pay tax on, you're not going to get to write off the expenses. There was a lot of confusion. Okay, yes, it comes in the form of a loan, but that gave the mistaken impression that you have to pay it back. If you use 60% of it or more for defined or deemed payroll, that's it. You don't have to pay it back. And your payroll is still, you can still expense that payroll. Okay? Now, so that's good news 1 and 2 there. Okay, now, it's a perfect deal. Now, take advantage of it if you can, because what we have now is they're calling it the second draw PPP money. Okay. Now, if you obtained your first PPP, but now there's going to be a first round PPP coming too for people that did not get it last year. You can apply again. They're opening up that window like now, like it just opened last week, this week. A lot of banks are getting ready to start accepting applications. Last week, banks started some. Everybody's kind of getting their own thing together. And some of the banks I'm working with, if I had applied for a client before, but the door closed because there was a cutoff date, but the application's still there, they're revisiting all those applications that did not get any money and seeing if you want to apply again. So I'm getting a lot of emails there from these banks. Okay? So there's a lot happening with this. So first round or second round. Now, To qualify for the second round, that's a person that already got money the first time. The second round, you have to have 300 or fewer employees, which I think is very generous. And you had to have suffered a 25% or greater loss of revenue compared to 2019. Okay? And you've already got a PPP loan. You've already had a PPP loan. Okay? So an example, guy's got a business, makes $100,000, made $100,000 in the third quarter of 2019, but he only made $70,000 in the third quarter of 2020 because business is dipped, because coronavirus, sales aren't there, whatever. He qualifies. He's had a 25% or greater loss in a quarter compared to the same quarter of the previous year. Okay? So that's it. It's that simple. Okay? There are a few alternative tests. It doesn't have to be same quarter, but that's all too complicated for this conversation. Let's just leave it at that. Now, the mechanics are the same, $2 million or less. Hotels and restaurants, by the way, you guys have a little bit of a different criteria for how much money you're going to get, whereas normally it's the revenue divided by 12 times 2.5. That's the formula. Your payroll compared to the revenue, your payroll divided by 12 times 2.5. So basically, they're giving you 2.5 months of free payroll. That's basically what they're doing. If you're a hotel or a restaurant, they're doing 3.5, which is considerable if you have a lot of employees. That's a big number. Okay? So, in January 14th, they issued a little guidance on that. So you're going to want to be sure. Don't try to do this on your own. Please work with your accountant. Work with whoever you're working with. But look at these numbers, because you may think you don't qualify, but you may qualify. Okay, now what can you use the money for to get 100% forgiveness? Because really the goal is you want to get 100% forgiveness. So you got to use it for payroll. 60% or more of it has to be used for payroll. Okay, at least 60% has to be used for payroll. And then the other 40%, or if you use 100% on payroll. Most of my clients that got PPP, most of them, with very few exceptions, used 100% of their money for payroll. And they qualified and they got forgiveness. So that's it. And there was no deadline to apply for forgiveness. People thought they had to apply for forgiveness by a certain date. No, it's actually open-ended. I've told my clients, based on my research and my understanding, don't be in a rush to apply for the forgiveness, because there's no need to, because they were trying to get it done right away. No. There's no need to. Some people rushed, and it almost looked like they were going to owe some of that money back. But no, when we just waited, it all worked out. So what else can you use it for? Rent, interest on mortgage obligations, utilities, operations expenditures, which is really a low bar. Whatever is an operation expenditure, that is to keep your business open. An operation expenditure, property damage that you may have had, supplier costs, okay, and worker protection for personal protection equipment, PPE, masks, gloves, sanitation, all that stuff is a business write-off that qualifies for PPP. Okay, expenses are 100% deductible. Okay, you are going to get, this is truly going to be tax-free money. I don't know if you remember, but the IRS took the position that expenses paid by PPP loan money was not tax deductible, because under GAAP, under accounting, so you get it all here. You get accounting law, you get everything, Todd. Under accounting, it's really not law, it's principles. GAAP is generally accepted accounting principles. Under accounting principles, if you get money, and that money is, so you borrow money, and the bank says, we just love you, we're going to give you that money for free, you don't have to pay it back. Okay? Which does really happen in some partnerships, where a partner will make a loan to the firm, and then he's like, you know what, go ahead and keep that money, you don't have to pay me back, for whatever reason. This scenario does happen. Technically, that money is not income, Okay, it's forgiven debt. So to not post it as income now, you're not allowed to claim deductions for the expenses that you purchased with that money. So if the guy gave you $1 million to buy this piece of equipment and says, hey, you don't have to pay me the $1 million back. I'm a partner in this firm. I'm in this for the long haul. I'm just forgiving that $1 million. You can't expense that $1 million piece of equipment. You can't do both. That's double dipping. Okay. So now so the IRS said, that's the law. Congress, you're going to have to change it. And Congress did. They said, okay. And they went back and changed it. Because really, it was just a procedural thing with the IRS. But the IRS adheres to the law. So Congress went ahead and changed it. And that money truly now is tax-free. Okay. The upshot of all of this, please act fast. Because this money's going to go away. I forget the numbers because there's so many numbers. $1 billion here and $1 billion there, right, Todd? Okay, so there's $35 billion for this second round PPP. $35 billion. Not as many businesses are going to qualify for this as before because of that 25% or greater dip. But if you think you might qualify for this, look into it. It's worth the time. If you've already gotten PPP, you may want to look at this again, especially if you've still been impacted. There still are businesses that have been shut down. It's hard to believe, but yes, it's true. I get the phone calls. Okay, let's take a break. This is Gilbert Talks Taxes, WCAB AM 590, FM 100.9.
Hi there, this is Kimberly, and I'm here to tell you about Peterson's Auto Service and Detail Shop. As a woman, I'm often apprehensive about taking my car to a dirty service garage. But you can be assured that Peterson's, located at 478 Butler Road, Forest City, has an incredibly clean and safe environment where you get high-quality service at a great price. Peterson's was voted Rutherford County's best auto service 3 years in a row. So take your car to Peterson's for brakes, oil change, North Carolina inspection, tire rotation, headlight lens restoration, scratch removal, and meticulous auto detailing. That's Peterson's at 478 Butler Road, Forest City. You can call him for an appointment at 245-8889.
This is Gilbert. If you owe the IRS past due taxes, don't call those toll-free national numbers. Local, affordable help is right here in Rutherford County. Stop garnishments, levies, and liens. Call Gilbert Carmona at 828-289-9300. All initial consultations are free. Call Gilbert, 828-289-9300.
We are back. This is Gilbert Talks Taxes, WCAB AM 590, FM 100.9. So the phone rang. Okay, we had a lot happen here during this break. A lot happened. I am going to talk about the $600 right now, Todd. Everybody wants to know about their $600 that they haven't gotten. I'm going to talk about that right now, but then somebody called in with the question, how can Biden raise federal workers' minimum wage to $15 and not everybody's? How can he just do that? Well, because he doesn't have authority to just do a mandate across the board. The states, it's at the state level. Federal workers he has authority over. But as I was speaking in the beginning, let me go back to, see, this is why I have notes. I can go back to it. Okay, right here. While we know that we can't trust government to do the right thing in so many cases, we see the fraud and corruption in a new light. Okay, I said that. It's fraud and corruption. Number one, I don't know any federal worker that makes less than $15 an hour, and I know lots of federal workers, and they're good people. They are good. I know federal workers are excellent people. They love their job. They do a good job. They go to work in the day actually wanting to serve you and wanting to do their job well. I mean, they're some of their own biggest critics, about the job and what they can do to make the job better. And of course, everywhere there's people that it's just a job and they just want to get through their day to go home and do whatever they do at home, right? So, but there are people that they love it. They're making way more. And it's not a secret. You can look it up. What federal worker is making less than $15 an hour? I mean, that's $30,000 a year. It's just a show, said Todd, my engineer. Words of wisdom coming from there. It's just a show. It really, really is. It's just a show. So how can they do that? Well, he doesn't have authority, is the bottom line. And the truth of the matter is we are a capitalist economy, and I'm not so gung-ho on capitalism, but show me something else that works. This is a whole other program we could have. You know, nothing else works. Socialism's a failure. Communism's a dismal failure. Show me an economic system that works. Even, listen, people say they want to look at Sweden. Sweden says, please stop calling us a socialist country. We're not. We are a capitalist economy. Yes, they are. Believe it or not. Now, in China, they're killing capitalists. Their richest people have disappeared. Jack Ma is missing, by the way, has been missing for 5 or 6 months now. Todd's quickly researching that. I can see that. It's an easy name to spell. In China, because they don't want everybody to know capitalism. I mean, even in China, a capitalist can become a millionaire. But show me a communist farmer that's a millionaire. Okay, enough said. Look at Cuba, my own country. I mean, what's happened there? And people that tell you, oh, no, they love it there. Right. That's why tens of thousands of them risk their lives every year in little rafts and hope and pray to make it to Key West. Literally risk their lives to do it and die coming over here because they just love socialism so much. No. But nothing works like capitalism. Again, it's the only thing that works. And capitalist forces are what mandate the minimum wage. You can legislate all you want. It always fails. And even now, really a year ago, I mean, nobody was paying less than $10, $11, $12 an hour because you couldn't find help. One of the factories, I forget which one, it was either Allied or Timken. One of those had signs on the side of the road, $16 an hour. Timken, thank you. I thought it was Timken. Allied did too now. Allied over there in Industrial Drive, they had signs, but I can't remember how much they were. Anyway, Timken had it, $16 an hour. I mean, and that was to start. And that was with no experience. They were willing to train you. If you had any kind of skills in that area, you could negotiate a better price for yourself. Because I know some people that did. And I know people that left where they left good $14, $15, $16 an hour jobs to go and get $19, $20, $21 an hour jobs. So it's economic forces and capitalism. Okay, let's talk about, and we're all going to be very surprised. I'm speaking out to that person that called. We're all going to be very surprised by what we're going to see. I'm not seeing a doom and gloom scenario. I'm really not. I'm actually very, very hopeful for what the next 4 years are going to bring. God's in charge of this. He wants to show us something. He wants to teach us something. And I don't know what it is, but I'm hopeful. I'm really hopeful. I mean, we owe Donald Trump a debt of gratitude. He's really exposed. God, let me say it this way. God used him to expose the reality of what goes on in Washington. You know, you remember that old saying, don't look behind the curtain. Well, he lifted that curtain up and invited us to look behind the curtain. There's scripture in the Bible that says God will lift up your skirts and show your shame and your vile. I'm trying to remember that scripture. Your vile shamefulness or something like that. But God's going to lift up your skirts. God's going to expose your sin, and God's going to see it. And we're seeing it. We're seeing it. And we're better people for it. Okay. Now I'm talking about second stimulus money. The next round, $600 you're supposed to get. $600 per adult and $600 for every dependent on the tax return. Okay? They have, here I'm talking about how much hope I have for the government, and here they totally let everybody down. We continue. Now this is, I'm reading an email that I received from my software provider. They are a very large company. They spend a lot of time working hand in hand with the IRS along with several other large software purveyors, to develop the tax software and get these issues resolved. So, dear Gilbert, we continue to have regular discussions with IRS leadership about the reprocessing status of stimulus payments that were initially sent to the wrong or closed accounts earlier in January. Our communication with the IRS on January 21st, so this is fresh information, confirms that they still intend to reissue payments at the end of January. Okay? Here are the notes. The IRS will reissue payments to the billions of filers affected by this issue. Now, they won't say how many, by the way. Just millions is what they're saying. Millions. Okay? It's billions of dollars to millions of people. Deposits should hit around the next week, January 29th, and middle of the week, February 3rd. Okay? If the IRS is able to determine that a taxpayer's ultimate bank account on file no longer exists. By the way, that is a big if. They bolded it and italicized it and made it like 3 font sizes bigger than the rest of the words. Okay, so if the IRS is able to determine that a taxpayer's ultimate bank account, their UBA, on file no longer exists, for example, the taxpayer closed their personal account, the IRS will send a check instead. In a regular cycle, that takes 2 weeks. So, and we consider that immediate. So, okay. Checks will be prepared for distribution next week. The time frame for printing and mailing checks was not provided. Okay. Once the IRS has reissued all payments, by the way, the Get My Payment tool, that's the GMP tool, most of you know at irs.gov. Please, only irs.gov. Do not go to any other website. irs.gov has a tool. It's a button there. It says Get My Payment. The tool will be updated with the last 4 digits of the correct account number. In addition, if the IRS intends to send a check, this will also show on the GMP tool. We expect GMP to be updated around January 29th. Okay? Yo, I know, Todd, that glimmer of hope just went away. January 29th. Important. If a reissued deposit fails for any reason, the stimulus money should be claimed through the recovery rebate credit when filing your 2020 tax return. That's where yours truly, I'm holding my hands out big here so everybody can see me. Yours truly comes in. What we're doing is we then put it on the tax return. Okay? It's not taxable, but we put it on the tax return. If you didn't get it, I need to say it on the tax return. Did you get it? Yes, no. How much did you get? Because some people actually got the wrong amount. Some people did not get enough for whatever reason. Okay, I've actually got that scenario. Okay, and the email ends with, if we receive any additional information about the timing of these reissued payments, we will pass it along. Path Act update. Now, Path Act was the act that if you have earned income tax credit or child tax credit, it holds your refund until the end of February so that they can scrutinize that tax return to make sure that you are who you say you are. Path Act refunds on filed tax returns that fall under the Path Act will be released February 16th. They moved it up 2 weeks, Todd.
Good news for me.
Good news for everybody who's got earned income tax credit and child tax credit, with anticipated refund deposit dates no earlier than February 27th. So they're giving it 11 days. 11 days for people to get those. Okay, so beats March, which last year people started getting those second week of March, approximately. Okay, so let me translate what I just said. What I just read here officially, let me translate it. They have no idea what they're doing. Okay? I just broke that down into English for everybody. Yeah, they have no idea. They have no idea. It's a big process. It's millions of checks to millions of accounts. They don't know how to get their arms around this. Just admit it. They don't. And the scenarios are endless. Okay, since they're using your bank account from last time or the bank account you put in that tool in March or May, okay, which is almost a year ago now, right? Or you put it on your tax return. They're using that information. People open and close bank accounts all the time. People get divorced. So there's a scenario that crossed my desk where they're divorced, the money went into the one spouse's bank account, and that spouse ain't giving it to the other spouse, even though it's the other spouse's money. The $1,200 belongs to the other spouse. The $600 belongs to the spouse. The one spouse is like, I'm not giving it to you. Go get it from the IRS. But they're like, but it's my money and you're keeping it. Yeah, too bad. Go tell your lawyer. That's the approach. So what do? And then there's scenarios where people die. And where does that money go? Does it belong to the estate? The person died. I mean, like recently, like they just died. So this is so big and so complicated. The what ifs, again, and people open and close bank accounts all the time. I mean, I know somebody that closed their bank account because another bank said, hey, bring all your business here, bring everything here, we'll give you free banking for 2 years. And a 0% credit card and blah, blah, blah. They're like, yeah. They closed their account, moved over there. They were over there for 6-7 months. The other bank said, oh, please come back. We'll match that. They're like, okay. So in 6 months, this person's switched banks twice. And when you reopen, they didn't give you your old bank account number. They gave you a new bank. You had to open up new accounts. So, I actually think they even gave him a better deal. They gave him a credit card with like 2 years, no interest. And whatever. I mean, and that's fine. It's a commodity. Shop it. They'll give you better deals. One person got a job with the state, so they were able to get a bank account at State Employees Credit Union, which is a great credit union if you can get an account there. So they closed all their other accounts and went over to SECU. So they don't have these other accounts anymore. And that happened just in the last 3 months. So this is it's a big tar ball, and they have no idea how to roll that thing up. Okay, let's take our last break, Todd. When I come back, speaking of people passing away, I am going to talk about tax. What? Nice segue, right? Speaking of people passing away. So Todd's just looking at me like, Gilbert, if you don't have $600 in your hand to give me, really? But I'm sorry I don't. I wish I did. I actually had somebody call me and tell me that did I get their money? I said, why would I have your money? I didn't even get my money. They said, so I'm in the same boat you're in. I didn't get it either, and the boat that all these people are in. And they said, but you did the tax return. I'm like, I'm sorry, I don't have it. If I did, I'd give it to you, but I don't know why they thought I would get it. But anyway, I don't have the $600 to give you, so all I can tell you is wait. So it should be end of January. It should be. You should get it. But if you don't, just put it on the tax return. And don't wait for it to file your tax return. Go ahead and get that thing filed. If the money comes, they'll resolve it later. Okay, let's take a quick break. This is Gilbert Talks Taxes, WCAB AM 590, FM 100.9.
As we get ready for this year's tax season, there's one thought on everyone's mind. Will Gilbert's hair look fabulous this year? Oh, yes, it will. How can I say that? Because I go to Robin Saunders at RSL Salon. Whether it's a good haircut, a pedicure, or a manicure, you can count on RSL Salon. Call Robin at 828-289-9110 because everyone deserves to look fabulous. People come up to me and say, Gilbert, thank you for doing my tax return and thank you for getting me that big refund. Do you have any ideas what I can do with that refund? Oh, yes, I do. Take that refund right over to NC Tractor and Farm Supply, talk to Phil, get you a brand new shiny red Massey Ferguson. That's NC Tractor and Farm Supply, Railroad Avenue. You can call Phil at 828-429-5008. By the way, mention you heard it on Gilbert Talks Taxes. I'm hoping he'll give me a discount when I go buy my brand new shiny Massey Ferguson tractor.
We are back. Gilbert Talks Taxes. WCAB AM 590, FM 100.9. My office number, 828-289-9300. My email, gilbert@gilberttalkstaxes.com. Those of you live streaming, good morning. Thank you for tuning in. www.wcab59.com. And we're a flurry of activity. Somebody texted Todd and said, yeah, tell Gilbert he needs $600 in his other hand for me. So, yes. Well, folks, it's coming. And that is good news about the PATH Act moving that up. I mean, it's 11 days, but 11 days is 11 days. Moves it up, and you should be getting that refund. They're going to start issuing them February 27th. Now, that one I am confident about because that is, see, you got two things happening here. You have what we call what's already systemic. In other words, we know that PATH Act does that. It's in the system. These are hardwired dates in the system, so they just move that date. Other things are non-systemic, like the $600. This is something out of left field. They're probably never going to do this again, or do something like this again. And there's so many unknowns. You know, they've never done it before, and it creates all these scenarios. So systemic things you can count on happening. You know, we know that it's April 15th is the cutoff date. We know that March 15th is the cutoff date for partnerships and LLCs. So we know these dates, and these things are hardwired into the system. It's things that are not hardwired, things that are not common to the system. Those are the things I worry about, because that's where those are the proverbial weak links in the chain. Okay, let's switch gears a little here. Tax consideration when a loved one passes away. Okay, this has been a big topic, and if you've had a family member pass away and you've been through this, or you're in the middle of this, or you're getting ready to experience something like this, you have a loved one that you know is going to be passing away soon, please be aware there are a lot of issues. You know, so you have a financially comfortable, and I'm not even talking about somebody that's wealthy, just somebody that's financially comfortable. They've worked hard. They've accumulated some assets. They have some things. Okay, this person passes away. You know, and this year, this has been a year of, last year has been a seemingly bad news. Sadly, it's not an uncommon situation. So the now deceased loved one may have been single or married, may or may not have been a relative. This is a loved one. I've got several clients that became executors and got involved with this for people that weren't even their relatives. They were just people that they were very, very close to. You know the saying, they were like family, truly like family, where that person trusted my clients with their finances after they died. That's how close they were. So may or may not have been a relative. In any case, you've stepped up to the plate. You've taken the challenging role of acting as their executor for the deceased person's estate. Well, good for you for doing this, but I'm going to tell you, beware and be alert and be vigilant. Okay? And it's not a bad thing. I'm just know where you're on thin ice. It can be a lot of work, and handling tax matters is an important part of it. Okay? So I'm probably going to be talking about this for a few weeks because this is a very complicated matter. There's no way I can hit on all of it. Just know I'm not an attorney, and I'm not making pretend to be one. Okay, I'm not giving you legal advice. I'm giving you tax advice and just making you aware of what's happening in the tax code with this. But now is not the time to get cheap. I've seen family members handling estates that are worth, $600,000, $700,000, $800,000, which sounds like a lot of money, but it's not that hard these days with the appreciation of real estate. It's just you could think, I've told my Uncle Marvin story for years now. Uncle Marvin, let me quickly recap that one. I get a phone call from a man. He says, I've got to file a tax return. I haven't filed a tax return in 10 years. My attorney says I need to file a tax return, and he recommended you. And I said, oh, great, thank you. Why have you not filed a tax return? First question. He says, well, my wife and I are both on disability. They worked at a place that had an issue, and they have lung problems, and they're on disability. So they've never, both of them. So they've never had to file tax return, or they didn't file tax returns for 10 years. But now, and I said, oh, okay. So why do you have to file tax returns now? And he said, Uncle Marvin died. Just like I know who Uncle Marvin is. Uncle Marvin died. I said, oh, Uncle Marvin died. Well, tell me about Uncle Marvin. Uncle Marvin worked here in this county, worked here at a mill his entire life. Uncle Marvin was single, never married, never had children, owned an old pickup truck and 2 pairs of overalls. When Uncle Marvin died, his estate was worth $1.5 million. Okay, he had a house, and I don't remember the details now. It's been years, but he had a house and 40 acres up in the mountains somewhere, and that alone they were able to sell for like $500,000. And he said to me, which I loved his honesty. He said, and there were 5 nieces and nephews, and they all found out they were his beneficiaries, and that was it. So the 5 of them had to split this $1.5 million estate. Fortunately, they got an attorney, and they knew something needed to be done here when they realized how much money Uncle Marvin had left them. I mean, this guy had money in 401k plans. He had money in IRAs. He had government bonds. There was a stack of government bonds that was rubber banded together. The attorney had to like peel these bonds apart. They sat in a drawer for 30 years. And the attorney said, just bring me the whole filing cabinet drawer. Don't take anything out of it. Just bring me the whole thing. And he literally went through it paper by paper. 1.5. It took the guy 2 years to settle the estate. $1.5 million. And he said to me, he goes, oh, we loved him. He was a great guy. We used to go visit him on holidays and spend time with him. He goes, but we never thought he had any money. He goes, I wish I'd known he had money. I would have been nicer to him. I laughed. I said, well, at least you're honest. So Uncle Marvin, so this happens. Especially, I see it with people that have these investments they got from way back when, especially the ones that worked at these mills and put all their money away, because that's what that generation did. This new generation, they're just not getting it. But the old generation did. They bought real estate. They had assets. So you're going to find yourself, you can easily find yourself executor of a $500,000, $600,000 estate. Okay, I mean, that's just not even a big deal anymore. Million is just not even a big deal. Uncle Marvin, $1.5 million. Okay, and I mean, it can be a lot of work. I'm going to talk about this probably for a couple of weeks. I'll get into different parts of it. Now, I'm just going to deal with federal tax issues. Also be aware that the state could have a lot of issues. North Carolina is not very complicated, but I know this podcast goes out all over the country. I've gotten phone calls from all over the country. I've got clients in California. I've got clients in Texas. I've got clients in Illinois. Those states have, not Texas, not so much, but Illinois, California, they have issues when somebody passes away. There's a lot of things to look at. I'm getting the 2-minute finger here, 2 minute fingers. So the executor's role. When a loved one passes away, someone's got to handle the financial fallout, and that includes the tax issues. Okay, the person can be identified in the decedent's will as the executor of the decedent's estate. If there's no will, this thing's going to need to be probated, and you're going to have to appoint an administrator. Okay, bottom line, you want to have a will. I know older people, especially older people, do not want to talk about. They don't want to talk about their personal stuff. A lot of them don't. They definitely don't want to talk about wills. If they don't have a will, it's hard to get them, has been my experience, to do a will. But please try to get them to do a will. It just gets it all in writing, and what you got to impart to them is that your wishes are going to be done. But let's say they pass away and there's no will, the court will appoint an administrator. In either case, it's often a surviving spouse or another family member who takes on the responsibility. Okay, now I'm going to refer to that person as the executor going forward. Okay, the role of the executor is to identify the estate's assets. Plain and simple. What are the estate's assets? Okay, what are all of them? Fortunately, Uncle Marvin left everything in a filing cabinet drawer. Literally everything was in there. All the papers were in there. Thank God. I've had people that have had to look for things and check the mail, and it can get very complicated. Identify the estates. Pay off the debt, okay, because the estate is liable for the debt, and distribute the remainder to the heirs and the beneficiaries. And you're responsible for filing all the tax returns and arranging to pay for taxes, okay? Now, if you're in this position, okay, I'm running out of time. I'm going to get into this more in the weeks to come. I've got I can give you some information on this. Call my office, call me. and I will help you. 828-289-9300. If you find yourself in this position, very important, you really need to understand it is a responsibility, and you can be held liable for not doing it correctly. Okay? So I will be back next week, and I'll be talking about this some more, and hopefully by next week, some people might have gotten those $600 checks, and you won't be looking for me for it. This is Gilbert